ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ತಿಳಿದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 10 ಸಲ ಓದಿದ್ರು ಕಲಾಕ್ ಬರ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. Because they don't attend the class. ತಾವು ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡು ಏನು
class
Hello, good evening to all. Please start section, sir, first. Already time is 6:40, around 6:40.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, KCK Naik garu. Already time 6:40. The given time is 6:20 only, na?
Yeah. Brainovision people. So, hello.
Hello.
Organize. So, we requesting the organizers to start the workshop.
Myself also same, madam. That's why.
Yes, sir. We are asking this organizing team only is not a come into. That's a resource person, I know. Yeah.
Okay, madam.
Okay, sir. Good evening.
da brofende. În că e ușa pată da nu mă că e. Voilà, c'est pus voilà. Nous parlons de la machine de mais tu dis ça. Bichari da famille. Çay sonuca yazayım sonucu. Kaç parası tamam relax. Tu que é cara, amiga, não vou que é.
Você, bom né?
Eu a diva chena bonu, ibe na bonu.
Não conta bom né?
Wat is ठीक बाजी?
تمشي انسولين كارون بعد كان بوتاسيوم تيست بي بعد كان ديسشارج نبغى نمشي ديسشارج هون شاسن ديسشارج ديز اوس
Sorry, देखो तो मार इनका मैंने सर किया.
يس
अच्छा है, जो होते हैं तो तो इसका मेंटेनेंस के लिए आते हैं. वो तो साक्षी है जो गया था तो ये तो उसे क्या करता?
تمو آسان أيدي مثلش ديسشارج بعد كان باي دي وي تيست بوتاسيوم تيست زون ريز
Apaga la onda, caramba. Mi va a hacer otro entonces, se ve que audio.
Your microphone is unmute then.
तथा भी प्रोटीन में दिखा था या बैंड से चिका था या
Good evening, everybody. How are you all?
Hello, ma'am. Good evening. We are fine.
Good evening. So I hope you all had a great day. So let us go ahead and
Hello.
session today. Hello.
Whether the resource person arrived? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Who is
So
this?
already I think the session should start by 6:30, right?
Yes, because
Yes.
the link is not
That
loading.
resource person have arrived?
Okay.
Can everybody start?
Make sure that because most of the participants are keeping the messages. Yeah, hello.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
So already I think the session should start by 6:30, right?
Yes, sir. 6:30, but some delay, sir, because everyone is joining, right? So just few minutes, 2 more minutes.
Make sure that because most of the participants are keeping the messages.
Yes, yes, sir. Now resource person starting. Yes.
So already I think
So can everybody stay on mute, please? And if there is any background noise, please don't unmute yourselves. That is a request from my end. So can everybody let me know how many people have already created their AWS accounts? Can you please raise your hands?
Hello.
I'm asking everybody, whoever have created their AWS accounts, please raise your hands. There is a button called raise your hand option. So can everybody raise their hands who have created their AWS accounts already, please? Thank you. Okay, 3 people. Okay, 5 members out of 141 people. Okay. Okay, so out of 143 participants, only 5 people have created their AWS accounts. So by the end of today's session, I'll show you how to create your free-tier AWS accounts. For that, you would require your personal email ID. Everybody, please stay on mute, please. I can't repeat the same thing. Please, can you please cooperate in muting up? So when I ask questions, you can unmute yourselves. Am I audible, by the way?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Naren sir. So today let us start with the first session, what is EC2 and all, and then we'll see how to launch a Windows instance. Okay. So for that, let me share my screen. Okay. So first of all, this EC2 is considered as a backbone of AWS because all the other services, be it VPC, EBS, S3, RDS, every other services are interlinked to EC2. So it is basically considered as the backbone of whole AWS infrastructure. So this EC2 is called as Elastic Compute Cloud. So would anybody would be able to tell me why we call it as cloud?
Storage.
Why we call this? Yes.
For accessing purpose.
For accessing purpose. It is on remote location. Anybody else?
We can store in one place, and we can store in one place. Wherever we can, we need, we can retrieve.
Okay.
It is in cloud based. Cloud means
cloud
remote
based.
systems. Remote
Yes.
systems.
So
Database
it is a cloud.
we are accessing here, but server is accessing another where.
Yes. It is a remote location, and somebody said because it is a cloud thing, we call it as cloud. So accessing anywhere, anytime, internet based, it is internet scale. Yes. Since it is one of the cloud services, we call it as cloud. So what do I mean by compute? Can anybody tell me?
Processor or server.
Processor, server.
So we can say anything with the server and client. Whatever we do, we can say that is compute.
Okay. I can't erase the things that you people draw. So I'm disabling annotations for others first of all. So it is internet scale process. Okay. We can say compute is like launching 1,000 machines. The virtual machines of 100 GB RAM, 100 TB hard disk, 100 CPU processors within minutes, with few button clicks is called the compute. The compute capacity is the ability of AWS to launch this many number of machines of this much configuration within minutes is possible with compute capacity only. So why do we call it elastic?
You can increase or decrease based on your requirement.
You can increase or decrease based on our requirement. So how this scalability or flexibility or elasticity property came to this particular EC2 is the question here. So can anybody tell me how do you think this elasticity property came to this particular service? Any idea? Okay. Okay. So, for example,
on-demand service according to the. Can I talk, madam?
yes, yes, yes.
So elasticity means we can the services may be increase or shrink according to the on-demand requirement. So that is the main
Yes.
property of the elasticity. The cloud is having the elastic property.
Yes.
It supports
Yes.
according to the on-demand. Hello.
Okay. Yes, sir. Somebody else unmuted. I'm so sorry. Continue.
Okay. So that is my point of view.
Yes,
Elasticity
sir.
property.
Yes, and I completely agree upon with you. So, like how sir said, I'm going to explain it in more clearer way because there might be somebody who doesn't even know the basic concept. So it is not a problem. So we always even to learn a language, we have to start with alphabets. So let's consider I have a laptop. Okay, so I have some 12 GB RAM and 2 TB hard disk. Now tell me in this case, can I change the configuration of this particular machine without physically touching it? Without
madam.
physically, no.
But in the
Because-
cloud, we can do, madam.
Yes, sir. So this is not possible. Okay. I'll give you case B. So in case B, let's say I have 12 GB RAM and 2 TB hard disk. In the same way, I have an external pen drive of 4 GB or something. So in this case, elasticity is possible or no? In the second case, in case B,
Yes,
is
madam.
elasticity possible? So why? Because this is an external device.
Extra
And
resource.
yes, these are internal resources. So because pen drive is an external resource, elasticity to configure is possible. Like it is feasible here because we can change this 4 GB to 8 GB to 16 GB or to 56 GB or to a 2 TB hard disk. We can change anything we want. So how elasticity came to EC2 is, like for example, if we want to buy a laptop, what do we see basically? What are the basic features? Have audibility issues. So thank you, Selvam sir. I'm literally hitting my microphone. I don't know why there is this the microphone problem, but I'll try to speak as much louder as I can. Thank you. Configurations. So what when you want to buy a laptop, like the basic things, what do we see basically?
RAM, processor, configurations.
So configurations such as, RAM, CPU, then
hard disk.
Madam, audio quality is very poor, madam. I have even increased my laptop volume.
I have it at 100, ma'am. You can see on my screen. And I am literally hitting my microphone.
We are all audible to you, ma'am.
Yes, you people are audible to me.
Audible, madam. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Only problem YouTube numbers. Keep microphone near ma'am. Ma'am, if you see microphone, it is like inside my teeth, ma'am. Literally. I don't know why this audible, there is this problem with microphone. So RAM, CPU, hard disk, and what is the other thing? OS, right? What kind of operating system we want?
Madam,
And yes,
madam, what is the concepts you are going to cover today, ma'am? Actually, what is the agenda of today? What are the
today's
concepts you are
agenda
going
is
to
to
cover?
cover introduction to EC2 and launching a Windows instance, sir.
Introduction to EC2 now.
Introduction to EC2 and launching Windows instance and connecting to it.
In cloud.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. So AWS is giving, coming back to my point, so these are the 4 basic things. And AWS is giving the customers the flexibility or the choice to choose whatever OS we want, whatever CPU we want, whatever RAM we want, and whatever hard disk we want. And in the form of an external resource. So this combination will give us basically a required configuration. So found, and which is why EC2 is having the nature of elasticity. So let us discuss about these 4 components in particular and the terminology in AWS. So let us talk about OS first. So what is an operating system basically? What is an operating system basically?
Interface in between user and the software components.
Yes. So can we say that can we say that an operating system acts as a translator between human and machine interaction? Yes, can you say that?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So how many types of OSs are there? I know there are plenty, but let's name quite a few famous ones. Batch OS, then hello. Yeah. So what are the OSs, what are the operating systems that we are using in our daily lives? Can we say Windows, Linux, Ubuntu, Mac OS, Unix? Yes or no? And when it comes to phone, Android, iOS, Red Hat. So let us discuss about these things a little more. So what is a source code basically? What is a source code? What is a source code? Is the source code of Windows open to the world? Is source code of Windows open to the world? No. And is it free to use? Okay. So I just got a call from admin team. So the source code of Windows is not open and it is not free to use. So basically what is the source code? We call it the language or the programming or algorithm or the technology or the tool which is used to design the particular operating system is called as source code. So now tell me, like how we get, we have 98 XP, Vista, 7, 8, 10, 10 Pro, and now it is 11 also. So like how we get these version updates, we'll have some server editions also. Yes or no? So like Win 2008, 2012, 2016, 2019 and all. So can anybody tell me, do we take any training to learn how to use Windows 11 right now? Normally, we don't need any kind of training, right? Because hardly there will be from version to version 5% of difference. Yes or no? So in the same way, let us talk about some Unix also. Is source code of Unix is open to the world? Yes. And is it free to use? Yes. So since the source code of Unix is open to the world, so the guy called Linus Torres took it and did what? He invented Linux. Then the Apple guy took it and created Mac OS. Then the HP guy took it and created HP UX. IBM guy took it and created AIX. Some Microsoft systems took it and created Solaris. So these are all called as flavors of Unix. So since the source code of Unix is free and open to the world, so this guy also made it possible, made it open to the world and made it free. So, and the other companies, because other companies are involved and they said it meant profits for them. So they said it is not free. So now what happened? With the help of this Linux source code, the Red Hat came out. Then a group of people came together and created CentOS. Then Ubuntu came. Then with that Fedora came. Amazon Linux, which we are going to use very much in our sessions. Okay, SUSE Linux and all. So these are all called as flavors of Linux. So 95%, who is the father here for all the operating systems? So 95% it is Unix. The ultimate question everybody confuses, everybody in interviews is Unix first or the Linux first? And we already know the answer, it is Unix. So now we'll go ahead and see what OS is called in AWS terminology, because AWS follows Amazon Linux naming convention. So OS is called as Amazon Machine Image. So we call it as Amazon machine image. Then came, you might ask me, CPU and RAM, they come in a combination, yes. So you might ask me, you just said we can select whatever we want, whatever CPU we want, whatever RAM we want. So what happened is when this cloud computing technology was introduced into the market, so initially people took it into a very, very disastrous combinations, like, for 1000 CPU took some 100 RAM or something like that, which is basically, a very disastrous combination. So, and here we cannot completely blame people also, because cloud technology is new and they might not have known how to use it. So what Amazon did is they only started to give the combination of CPU and RAM. So if one CPU is given, 2 RAM, or for 2, 4, for 4, 6, 8, 16, like that. So it comes in pairs like 2 shows. So, and we call this combination as instance type. We call this combination as instance type. So don't get confused with EC2 instance and instance type, because whenever we say instance type, the thing that should come to your mind is CPU plus RAM combination. And then the last thing which is left out is hard disk. So we call this hard disk as EBS, elastic block store. So since it is a storage module, we call it as store, and we have already seen why we call anything elastic in AWS, because it has this elasticity property where you can increase or decrease the resources, like you can scale it up or scale it down. So again, this EBS is being divided into 2 types. So one is block and one is object. So what can we store in object type of storage? What can we store in object type of storage? Basically, all kinds of files, like maybe PNG, JPG, PDF, Excel, anything we want, MP3s, MP4s, So the drives which are represented for the object storage are D drives, E drives, F drives, and when it comes to a virtual one, Google Drive, which we use daily in our lives today. So when we come back to the block storage, so block storage is basically for operating systems and databases. So the drive which represents this is C drive. Another name for C drive is bootable drive. So now can anybody tell me, can we use object storage as block storage? Can object storage act as block storage? No. Object storage cannot act as block storage. But can block storage act as object storage? Yes. So block storage can act as object storage. So basically, In order to launch now, for launching a server, what you need in cloud, we need to combine all these three things like AMI plus instance type plus EBS gives us the required configuration. So after combining these three, we get required configuration of the instance, and we call it as EC2 instance. EC2 instance in AWS. So let us see these things in 2 minutes. I just prepared all this theory in a simple PPT, and then we can dive into the practical. So Amazon Compute Cloud. So the definition, Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud is a web service that provides resizable. So when I say resizable, that means when the machine is running without stopping the machine, you can increase or decrease the hard disk, and then you can change. You get to change your configuration of CPU and RAM. So that is what I mean when we say resizable. Compute capacity, we already know what is compute capacity. The ability to launch 1,000 machines also with whatever configuration within minutes in the cloud. So EC2 reduces the time to launch a new instances to minutes, allowing you to quickly scale capacity both up and down. So these are some of the Unix flavors that came up. Linux, Mac OS, AX, Solaris, and HPUX. And then these are some of the flavors of Linux. So instance type. So what is an instance type? Basically, CPU plus RAM. So this is EC2 instance types like T2.nano, T2.micro, T2.small. So 1 plus 0.5, 1 plus 1, 1 plus 2. These are the combinations of CPU and RAM. So like this, more than 200 combinations are available, and we don't need to remember any of these combinations. So we don't need to worry about such thing. And we always, in this 1 week FDP program, we always go with T2.micro only, which is a pre-tier eligible one, because most of the participants have pre-tier eligible account, and me also use pre-tier eligible account right now. So we go with this thing, which is free. So now let us talk about Elastic Block Store. So EBS allows you to create storage and attach them to EC2 instances. And that is again divided into two types, object storage and block storage. And object storage represented drives are DEF. When it comes to virtual one, Google Drive. And block storage is represented by C drive, which we will use for operating systems and databases. And it is also called as bootable drive. So why it is called as bootable drive? Basically, whenever our system is not loading our home page or something, what we'll do, we'll reboot the system. So whenever we reboot the system, is it rebooting all the drives or only C drive? Whenever we reboot the system, is it rebooting all the drives which are there in the system or only C drive? Only C drives. So that is because C drive has bootable properties. So that is why it is also called as C drive, bootable drive. So here on moving further, whenever I say laptop, desktop, server, machine, PC, box, instance, all are same technically. So since so many members are new to this AWS terminology, we'll try to use the word instance more. So other than that, whenever they say be it a Windows machine or a Linux machine or a Windows instance or a Linux instance, basically it means the same thing. So in this introduction, you just need to worry about some of the terminologies. If you haven't heard about AMI or EBS or instance type, what do they mean and all. So those are the only things that concerns you in this introduction session. So let's now go ahead and see AWS dashboard and how to launch a Windows instance, get familiar with the dashboard and all. So first of all, we sign in as a root user because this is my ultimate account. My other account where I work with another company, that one I log in as an IAM user. So basically, we are going to be the ultimate administrators here. So root user is nothing but administrator here. So because AWS follows Linux naming convention, we see everything according to that. So root user is nothing but an administrator. Next. Password. So whoever are going to create their accounts tonight, please make sure that your region is always in Mumbai. So because Mumbai is the nearest region to us, we always try to make it, use it in the Mumbai region. So what happens if it is the nearest place? The latency will be low. So latency is nothing but delay. So on the best business practices, latency free or at least less latency, no latency or reduced latency. And how can we make sure of this? By launching in nearest location. So this is EC2. Let us go into EC2 service. So always make sure that this new EC2 experience is enabled because AWS console is something which evolves continuously. Every day some new feature is being added, and nowadays updates are very, very fast. And almost for every week, you're going to have a new update in AWS console. So always make sure you enable this new EC2 experience because otherwise you will be routed to older user interface. And apart from regions, we have availability zones also. So these are AZs, which are in Mumbai area. So can anybody tell me what is the difference, the major difference you can observe here? You can practice after when I show it because while I'm launching it, if you also do, you tend to miss some specific points. So I would really like you people to practice it after I finish launching myself. So what is the difference you can observe from to a region and to a zone? Can anybody mention it? What is the difference that you can observe between a region and the availability zone? We can observe all regions are ending with numbers and all zones are ending with some alphabets. So it is like a blind rule because now when we see in GUI, it is fine. We can understand which is a zone and which is a region. There comes a situation when we connect through CLI to our AWS accounts. So that time, when we see the output or the thing that we are typing in, we should be able to tell what is the region. Is they talking about regions or are they talking about zones? Because they'll be giving AP East 1, AP South 1, such kind of a thing. So we should be able to tell whether whether they are discussing about the data centers or the regions here. So that is one of the prominent difference you have to keep in mind. So I said yes, it is a free tier account, 2 months account, 12 months account is free, but there are limitations for free resources. We get this YouTube ads, right? Go to premium YouTube to go ads free, go to LinkedIn premium and all. So it is like a 30 days free trial version of how it works. So in a similar way, here AWS is also giving you a 12-month period of like a trial period. For example, if you want to buy a car, will we take it we'll take it to a test drive, right? So just to get the feel of it and all. So we cannot go to Goa and say I don't want to buy the car. But, yes or no? We don't want to, we'll never say that we can take a car more than 5 to 10 kilometers. So similarly, for this free tier basic account also, there are some limitations, and if you follow exactly what I try to tell you people, yes, there will be charges for EC2 for the storage that we use. So that is why I'm asking you people to stay on the limitations that I tell you, so that you will never go, you never need to pay any bill in the term that you are creating and using this AWS account. So let's go now and launch a Windows instance. So we can either go here in instances running tab, or we can go here in the instances part also. So if I go here, you can see currently I don't have any instances running. So we are going to launch an instance. So go to launch instance, please. So this is the old EC2 experience. So I'm still using the same thing. But if you choose to the new experience, it looks like this. Please don't get confused, and I think it is not showing the same way. So you can choose any way you want. I'm trying to use the old version because you can really see all the steps here, and it is a little bit clearer view for everybody. So today I'm choosing to launch a Windows instance. So here we have to choose a free tier eligible Windows AMI. AMI is nothing but an operating system. So please follow the guideline for free tier eligible. See, you can have Mac OS and all, which is not free tier. So please search your AMI till you find a Windows free tier one. So here we can find the Windows server which is free tier eligible. So I'm just selecting it. So instance type, what is an instance type? What is an instance type? Which is nothing but CPU plus RAM combination. So do not concentrate on all other things. Just concentrate on launching the machine for the moment. You will understand what is it and all later. So currently I'm going to use this free tier account. So if you can see, there are lot many combinations you can see here. So we are going to use only T2.micro, which is free tier eligible one. So we don't need to worry about remembering all these things. So let's select this thing. Next. So you can give any number here, number of instances. It will launch in few minutes. So I'm giving 1. Okay. Do not worry about all the other things that you see on the screen, because they belong to different services like VPC, IAM, and all, which I'll explain, if we get the chance in this week, I'll try to explain it. So it is in one. So let's go to the next step. So add storage part, you can see you can attach additional EBS. EBS is nothing but our hard disk we are dealing here. So in Windows system, where do we install our OS? Basically, in C drive. So in AWS, we call C drive as root drive. You can see here, we call it as root drive. Don't get confused, because here you might ask me, you said we are launching Windows instance, so it should be written as C drive, right? So guys, at the end, everything will be like Windows only, but because AWS is following Linux naming convention, that is why we see root here. So whether you are launching Windows, Ubuntu, CentOS, it doesn't matter. It always be root drive only. So on the second thing you have to observe here is, it is telling you need to have minimum 30 GB in your C drive to launch a Windows OS. If we want, we can make it 40, 50, 60 also. So as you wish, minimum is 30. So what is the limit of hard disk here? You can read it here. So free tier eligible customers can get up to 30 GB of general purpose SSD as a free usage tier eligibility. 30 GB. So it is free 30 GB only. So now this 30 comes under this only. So that is why you can understand now why I have given only one in the third step, because just the root drive itself requires 30 GB. So if I launch more or more than one instance, I would require 60 GB, which doesn't fall under free tier eligibility, and I don't want to pay any bill. So that is the reason I am launching only one Windows OS. So next, adding tags. So tags are literally like a name to the thing, because when we work in a company, we'll have some 100 production instances, some 200 testing, 500 in the development phase and all. So we need to understand which one belongs to which one belongs to which project, when it got created, how many days it will stay. So is it a production instance or which team it belongs to? So that is why we can give up to 50 tags. So basically, when we are having more and more instances in companies, these tags help really a lot by letting us know if a particular instance is going to expire. Just by looking at the name of the instance, we can tell to which project it belongs to, till when it will stay alive and all. So let us give a name here. You can give any name you want. I am giving Windows. Since it is a Windows instance, I am giving Windows. But if you want, you can give any tag you want. So next is security group. So this is a very technical thing. So what is a security group? Basically, let me explain it to you here only. So let's say my laptop is in Hyderabad. Okay. So I want to connect to an EC2, which is in Mumbai region, because I'm using it in Mumbai region. Okay. So I'm trying to launch a Windows EC2. So in order to connect and allow traffic to your machine, it needs a port. So security group, what is a port? The port is like a door to our homes. So it would require a port here to allow the traffic or to connect to your instance, to your machine. So why we use doors to our homes? Basically to secure it, right? And we lock the door, right, to not to allow some mean people inside it. So security groups are like ports, which are nothing but doors to our virtual machine. So here we can see here you can see what is the type of port and its port range. So basically, when somebody asks what is the security group of a particular instance or for a particular OS, it is always represented along with the type of port and its port range, like RDP 3389, something like that. So the port name, RDP is nothing but remote desktop protocol. So remote desktop protocol, and the port range is 3389 here. Port ranges are very important when we go into depth of the topics like VPC and all. So, and in IT, a total of 65,535 ports are there. Okay, so here we can go and select any port range we want. So can anybody remember this many ports, like 65,000 ports? It's impossible. So we don't need to worry about remembering all these things. But always try to change your security group name and the description, because launch wizard created at this time, this particular thing is not that much required. So it would be very useful. Like if we give something very, very small and similar. So I'm giving win-win in the group name and the description. The next step is reviewing it. So basically it will show us all the things that we have done, the instance details, the storage details, the tags and all. So, and now launch it. So now it is asking something called key pair. So what is this key pair? What is this key pair? So if you want to enter into your machine, you need a key, right? Yes or no? Because when you launch, it is in locked position. Because you're having ports to your virtual machine, it is in a closed state. And you need to enter your machine. For that, you need to have a key. So irrespective of being a Windows instance or a Linux instance, be it Ubuntu, always the key should be in .pem format. .pem format. So to go here, we never go with this third option. So we're going to create a new key pair. So you can see it here. Always it should be in .pem format. So this PEM is called as privacy enhance main. Privacy enhance main. So we can give any name we want, okay? And then let me give win only here also. We can give anything we want. So even though we give a name, it is not giving us the option to launch the instance. Why? Because first we need to download the key pair before we can continue. You can see it in the little highlighted box here. So download the key pair. And you can see it got downloaded in .pem format only. So after I download it, we get the option launch the instances. So now launch the instances, please. So your instances are now launching. So it is a green signal. So let's go ahead and see view instances here. So it is in pending state. Let's give a minute or two to get it into a running position and to get the status checks passed. So while the machine is launching, let us discuss a little small thing here. So now we want to connect to our system, right? Yes or no? So for example, if this is my physical machine, like my laptop, and I want it to connect with Windows EC2, which is basically cloud server. So these are, and there are three basic details I have to give. Then only with that details I can connect to the cloud machine. So in order to connect even with our Instagram accounts or Facebook accounts or be it a bank app, we need to have three things. So what are those three things? IP or DNS, username, password. So we need to have the same three things in order to connect to our remote machine also. Yes, sir. Thank you, Patnaik, sir. So IP or DNS, we need to have a username, and password. So now where we need to go and find those things here. So let us go ahead and see whether our machine is running or not. So now our status checks is also passed and the Windows instance is running. So the only thing left out is to connect to our virtual machine. So let's go ahead and click on connect here. You can either connect here or you can go to actions and you can select connect also here. Anything, it is fine. So connect the instance. And we are RDP clients. We know our port, right? Remote desktop protocol. So we have to go to RDP here. And when you scroll it up, you can find a public DNS here. And a username is also there. But do we have a password yet? Do we have a password yet? No. So let us go ahead and get our password. So we have a key actually, yes or no? See, if you can see here, to get Windows password, retrieve and decrypt the initial Windows administrator password for this instance. So basically, it is asking you will need your key pair for this instance. So what is the key pair we have given? It is only AWS is only proposing us the key pair associated with this particular instance is Win. So if you remember, I have given the name Win. So we just need to browse our key. So let us go to downloads. And you can see there is a key for us. So just select this key, open it. And you can see all the gibberish. We don't need to worry about this thing because it is in encryption mode. So we are going to go on decrypt the password. So now, do we have a password or no? Yes. Now we have all the three things required. We have a public IP or DNS, we have a username, and now we have a password. So these are the three basic details I have to give. Then only with that details I can connect to the cloud machine. So now where I need to enter these details? Now where I need to enter these details? Any idea? Fine, I have all the three things, but where I need to enter these things? In a virtual machine. Necessary. And one more thing is this password is viable only for some minutes, guys. So after a particular time, you have to again decrypt your password because AWS follows KMS encryption. So we need a third-party tool that gives us the interface to connect from our local machine to cloud machine. That interface will comes in software, which we call it as. Do you know any software which can give us this remote connection interface? Sir, putty is for Linux instance, sir. So we are trying to launch Windows instance here. So anybody know any software which can give an interface to connect from our physical machine to our, which is already there in systems? Do we know this tool, remote desktop connection, RDC? So basically, this software by default comes with the Windows OS or the Mac OS. So we are going to use this RDC to connect from our Windows machine to from our local Windows machine to virtual Windows machine. So let us go ahead. Let us go ahead and copy the public DNS. Give it here. You can click on this little cube here, which can copy the entire thing. Anywhere in AWS, you can find this little box for every detail. So now I have given the username and DNS. So I'm connecting it. I'm not saving it or remembering anything here, because in next 5 minutes, I'm going to delete the same machine. So what I'm going to do is give the password here, and we don't need to remember it or anything. Yes, sir, Secure also, but because RDC is there in every system, no, sir, by default, so we are going with this thing. So yes, it is asking like, do you trust this particular machine? So I'm saying yes. Let's see what happens. So we can see when we started off, it is not, this is not my laptop desktop screen or something. So, and we can see all the specifications here, like which availability zone we have launched it, how much memory, because we have given 1+1 CPU and RAM combination. So it has 1000 MB, which availability zone is the instance type, what are the public IPVs and private IPV, the instance ID and all. So now if we go to your so when we go to this PC, you can see the 30 GB that we have given to our local disk C drive is here. So this is how we can create and connect from our Windows, from local Windows machine to the virtual Windows machine. So from today, so whenever we want to close the session, we can close it. It will just show this thing and can close this thing, and we can come back here. And even though So the time limitation, like number of hours, limitation is like in number of hours. So 720 hours per monthly, which is basically approximately 30 days. So even if you run this much time, your instance also, you will not get a bill. So currently you can see, I have one running instance, one keeper I have created, and there is a one volume, one EBS volume, and two security groups, because there is a default security group, and I have created my own security group. So we can go here and we can see all the details, like public IPVs, private IPVs, the DNSs. And if we want to make any changes to our security groups, we can go here. Basically, Blue is a hyperlink in IT. So everything can be monitored from here. So if we want to run this machine, even though you run this machine for 28 days or 29 days also, you will not get a bill. But if you run more than this, you will definitely get a bill. So because only 720 hours per month is allowed as a free tier one. So basically some DevOps engineer or somebody else will depend on cloud engineers for installing a tool or some software in a virtual machine like this. So in tomorrow's session, we will see how to launch Linux instance. What are the use cases of Linux instance? Where we use Windows and Linux, differences between both. And also we'll see how to launch multiple instances like both Windows and Linux using a single security group and single key pair, whether it is possible or not. We'll see it tomorrow. So from today's session, the only things that you have to keep in mind and terminate everything. So let me show you how to terminate the instance. So select your instance, go to instance state, and you can see terminate option. Do not stop the instance and think it is terminated, because stopping is practically to pause the instance. So terminate the instance here. So click here and terminate. So now you will get a message like shutting down, and after it is shut it down. Yes, ma'am, I'll recap the steps. Just give me a minute. I'll open whiteboard and I'll show it to you. So after it shuts down, it will automatically remove the public IPv4, private IPv4s, and it will show terminated. So please make sure every day, please make sure to terminate everything that you have created. Even though you think that you will use it tomorrow also, you can see it right now. There is no public IP address or private IP address. The instance state is terminated. So always, always, always before closing or logging out your accounts, please make sure that you have terminated everything you have created, because that is the only thing which which will not make any issue to. So from today's session, the key points you have to remember is the terminology, AMI, instance type, EBS, which is again divided into block and object. So regarding the theory part, and when it comes to just a minute. Sorry, I was not able to see your messages. I'll inform the admin team to look into the feedback session too. So let me give all the steps that are required to create a Windows instance. So the first one is choosing AMI, and we went with Windows free tab. Then the second one is instance type. And we went with T2.micro, like 1 CPU and 1 RAM. So then third step is number of instances. One instance, but be careful about the time, the number of how many hours you're going to run your instance. So fourth step is giving the storage, which is the root we have given. 30 GB is required to create a Windows instance. Then fifth step is giving a tag to it. So I have given Windows. Then we went with security groups. So security groups are nothing but ports to your traffic, to your virtual machine traffic. So the security group for Windows instances RDP 3389, which is nothing but remote desktop protocol. Seventh one is review option, where we can see all the things that we have done. And the eighth one is the hidden step is keypad, which should always be in .pem file. PEM is nothing but privacy enhance main. So these are the steps that are involved. So from today's session, the only thing, please make sure that you make a little note of the terminology, because I know it is new and sometimes it is difficult. So instance type is nothing but CPU plus RAM. And AMI is nothing but Amazon Machine Image. Basically, it is OS. And EBS is hard disk. So these are the steps that are involved in creating a Windows instance. And the software that we used, the three things that we require to connect is IP or DNS, then username, password. You remember our key is in .pem format. So we converted AWS only gave as an interface to convert it from PEM to password, where we have decrypted the thing. And the software which is used to connect from our local machine to virtual machine is RDC, remote desktop connection. So this is how we launch a Windows instance and all. So if you want, you can take a picture of this thing or make a note of it, anything you want. So that is it for today's session. I hope you have understood how to launch a Windows machine. And I know sometimes theory can be, difficult, and sometimes we can be impatient also. So just because some people can really do the research and come to a session, and somebody might not have time because all the day long they are in some colleges doing work and all. So for people who don't know from the basics, we have to teach from the basics, even though sometimes theory can be boring and sometimes it can be invaluable, you might think it. So I'm sorry if I have dragged or lacked my theory session, but for people, because there are some faculty members who are not from CSC background also. So for them, we have to do it from the root. So thank you so much for the session. So if you have anything, you can type your questions in the chat box right now. And thanks for the session, guys. I had an amazing session. So if you don't have any any doubts, you can leave the meeting, and please do practice whatever we have seen. And tomorrow we'll see how to launch a Linux instance. And by tomorrow, I'll make sure that there are no audibility problems for YouTubers also. So please try to fill in your feedback forms. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the session. Hoping to meet you all tomorrow. Yes, Srinath, sir. So I'll try to connect it. So I was having some technical glitch from my end. So I was unable to open the link. So that is why it was like this today. And sometimes we need to wait for 5 to 7 minutes because to let everybody join. So thank you so much, everybody. And meet you all tomorrow. And if it is possible, do a little 1 to 2 minutes research on YouTube or Google, like what is Linux instance, how we can create it and all. So we'll see how different it was from Windows instance in tomorrow's class. So that's it from my end, guys. And I know yesterday I took 30 more minutes of your time. So today I'm leaving you 1 minute before. I know it is not much, but yeah. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Otherwise, you're free to leave the session. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great evening. Thank you, everybody.